Hi there, Jack here, and today for my third video review, I want to try and make something a little different than usual in my written reviews and the few video reviews that I've done so far. Instead of trying to get you a walkthrough or a complete description of the mechanics of the game, of the rules, I will try to shrink that down to just a few information that you need to refresh your ideas, and then move forward to a more critical review of the game, trying to give you my ideas about the game. So this is meant more for people that already know the game, have tried it, has possibly seen it already, and to share with you my review of this instead of just an explanation. So the game I'm gonna review today is Castle of Burgundy, arguably the game that started the Feld mania that I gladly participate in. I'm a caring member of the Feld fan club, but I'll try to give you an honest review. The game is the Castles of Burgundy, or Les Châteaux de Bourgogne, on the Ravensburger Alia version. It was published in 2007, I think. Plays 2 to 4 players, 90 minutes more or less. I will get through a quick explanation of the game and come back for my thoughts about it. So, Castle of Burgundy is played over 5 rounds, each composed of 5 turns, so you will keep track of turns here. And basically this is how the game will look at the beginning of each round, again composed by 5 turns. Things change depending. If you're playing 4 players, you will have more tiles. If you're playing 2 players, you will move some tiles. Then yeah, what you're doing in your turn, each turn you will roll 2 dice, and depending on the numbers that you get, you will have 2 actions. You use actions, simply put, to take stuff on the board and place it on your kingdom, this thing here that you have on your personal board. So what you're trying to do is both trying to complete sections of your board. For each complete section, the earlier you get them and the bigger it is, the more points you get, or get points from the combination of tiles. There are different tiles. Animals give you points based on set collections. You want a bunch of chickens instead of having chickens and some cows. Buildings do all kind of weird stuff. They let you gain more tiles, they let you place more tiles, they let you gain money, they let you gain workers. Workers are used to modify your die. So if I have a 3, I don't know what to do with a 3. If I have one of these guys, I can make it become a plus or minus 1, so a 2 or a 4. So you basically acquire stuff on the board, place it on your player board in this storage area, and then with another roll or another action you can place it on the board. And this is true for all the tiles. Other tiles are the yellow tiles. They either give you special powers, allowing you to do stuff more efficiently, or they give you points at the end of the game. The castles are super powerful because they let you take 1 free action of any kind. The ships, they are used to become first in turn and gain this stuff, selling goods from the board that you can sell for money. And money is used to buy special tiles. This is money. Special tiles from the middle of the board. They are just like all the other tiles, but so you have an extra access and they don't cost an action to buy. You play this over and over again. Whoever has the more points at the end of the game wins. So once again, this was just a fast introduction to the game. I forgot, for example, the mine that gives you money at the end of each round. But I wanted to go into what is about this game that is good and what is possibly not. So first of all, the components. I'm really into nice components. I like miniatures, I like nice cardboard tokens, I like nice art in games. And Castle of Burgundy will not wow you as far as components are. but the art on it is decent. It brings forward the theme of the game, which is building a medieval castle and the city surrounding it. The art on the little thingies, on the little tiles, is nice. The art on the board, no. They only have a very bland background, but information is brought through quite clearly, and once you have played the game once or twice, you will have no problem understanding the symbols on either some of the tiles, like this, or for the buildings, there is a little chart on your personal board that explains you what every building, that each and every building does. So the game plays slower in the beginning and faster when you learn it, and that's common to many games, but particularly true for this. The first time we played this with my wife, it was a 2-player game, and it ran over 90 minutes, closer to 2 hours. Now, a 2-player game will never take us more than 45 to 50 minutes, and that's a very good thing. It helps you have a deep experience in a short time. This stays true with 3 players. I tend to find it quite too long, possibly boring, in 4 players, and I don't think the added tension is worth the longer amount of time. This is not true for all games and not for all Feld's games, but for this one I would recommend 3 and 2 players over 4. With 3 there is a little more competition for stuff. It's possibly a little more interesting, but it's a quick and nice game with 2 player too. So there is no long time strategy. There are few choices that you can go for in a long-term situation. One of them is at the very beginning of the game, before it even starts. During setup, you can choose for each board the standard setup, that is this, or the personalized setup, that is this one, is one of them. There are advantages to both. This is easier to get a decent amount of points. These that varies from board to board, can give you very, very big scoring opportunities, but if they don't go well, you will perform very, very poorly. I tend to prefer to play with a personalized board. Other players I play with, not so much, and they prefer the standard board that they know they can rely on. But after that, you can try to go for one strategy or another, but you cannot guarantee any of it. For example, animals are a strategy you need to commit to. Once you go into animals, you want to get a bunch of them and possibly a bunch of the same type, because points add up. So that's a choice that if you are the only one taking that animals, or in general the only one favoring animals over other stuff, you can get a bunch of points from it, otherwise not so much. And this leads us into another common misconception about Stephan Feld's games, and in particular Castle of Burgundy, the concept of point salad. Yes, it is true that there is little to no action that will not bring you points when you carry it out. But this doesn't mean that it's easy to score a bunch of points, because not all the action will bring you a lot of points. And if you score a couple of points around and your opponent is scoring 15 or 20, you're not gonna have a nice time at the end when final scoring moment comes. So it's the fact that everything brings points doesn't mean you can just go into it and build whatever or take whatever. Every action you take is tight and important, and contrary to what the point salad could suggest, you are really struggling to get what you want. Some of the resources or the tiles are extremely limited, like castles. There are not enough castles in the game for everyone, especially when playing a 3-player game, and you will have an hard time if you want to complete your castles, and castles give you a free action, so you really want to snatch that castle if possible. But what if instead you need a mine to get a steady amount of income and being able to have flexibility? Also about flexibility, you can get things that only give you points. There are buildings that give you points, animals give you points, selling stuff gives you points, but none of these increase your flexibility. Vice versa, tiles that increase your flexibility, like most of the buildings or some of the technologies, don't give you points per se. So you have to balance out. You cannot really build an engine, it's not that kind of game, but there are certain things that you can build to have an edge over your opponent from that moment on. But those 25 turns, 50 actions run out faster than you would think. And so you have to really prioritize whether you want to set build your possibilities for later on, or grab what you can right now. And compared to other Euros of the same length and depth, this is very much interactive. You will never hear the end of it if you cross another player and snatch that die that they really, really needed, and that apparently they didn't care to take before because they really, really needed something else. And vice versa, you will constantly feel that if only you had a little time more to snatch that die that you really had set your eyes on, you would be so much happier. But too late, someone else has snatched it. Every action counts, every moment is important, and you will follow with your eyes your opponent's moves, not saying anything, hoping that they don't steal your stuff. Being first can be huge, so you will want to build these ships as soon as you can to move forward on the turn order track, hoping other people don't catch you up. But once you're ahead, you want to stay ahead. So what do? Do you need more ships just to keep people at the distance? But then they will have actions to get something else that you may have wanted. So you see, this is the mechanic of the game. You are constantly pushed to build more, but you need to get the stuff. And the stuff is always limited. Actions are not so much. Sometimes you have actions that you don't know how to use, but for the last round, you will never feel that in the last round. In the last turn of a round, because there is not enough to interest you anymore. But that just means that you are not keeping your options open, and you will realize with a shake of terror that you made a big mistake not snatching that mine, because that mine you both needed, while you could have got that very sweet building later on because your opponent had no intention of getting it. So the game is really, really interesting and fun. When I first got this, I wasn't too much into Euro games, and I had very few games that were won by points, and very few that were so deterministic. And yeah, deterministic despite the dice. The dice can totally ruin one of your turns. They will not ruin the entirety of your game. With one die, you can always get 2 workers, worst case scenario. And if you do, next turn you will have more choice on how to modify your rolls and get good stuff. There are buildings that let you take other buildings without the need to roll the right number. There are money to get stuff from the market. So don't blame your bad luck if you lose, and I do lose often, especially to my wife. But I win to other people, so that's fine, I suppose. I really, really like it. Replayability is immense. There are 8 different kind of buildings, building tiles, the brown ones, plus a number of other things that I already mentioned. And the offer changes every round, so every turn you will have to decide what you want, and every game will be different. In some games I have gone for all buildings as soon as possible. In others I have focused on mines. I rarely focus on animals, maybe that's why I'm losing. And the game is fun. I have played it, as I said, with any number of players. Find it, if you have 4 players and a bunch of time, you may want to play something more meaty, but this is still very good even with 4 if you so feel. I appreciate the game. There are some other interesting way to score points, like being the first to finish some kind of stuff on the entirety of your board, you will feel that despite scoring that many points, as we said, even losing 4 or 5 points could cost you the game at the end. I really hope you enjoy the game, if you try it or if you have it. I hope that you enjoyed this review, which tried to be different from the others that I've done. And I really recommend Stephan Feld's The Castle of Burgundy. Bye guys, have fun.